The phone vibrated again. I knew it was someone from the family. I knew it would be another request for money. But, as always, I picked up the phone. Sophia, I heard a familiar tense tone on the other end. It was my mom. Daughter, we have a problem here. I took a deep breath. What's wrong? We can't pay the utility bills this month. We need at least a few hundred. I looked at my account. There was not enough money, but I couldn't say no. Okay, Mom, I'll send it over. I disconnected and immediately received another message. From my brother. Sophia, I'm out of work again. Can you give me some money for food? I'll pay you back when I can. I knew he wouldn't. He never did. But I transferred the money to him anyway. I worked 12 hours a day to support myself and them. I saved on everything. I didn't buy new clothes. I didn't go to restaurants. I didn't travel. But I always found money to help my family. They were always in a difficult situation, and I was always a financial cushion for them. Or so it seemed to me. I did not know that I would soon learn the truth that would change everything. The next day, after another money transfer, I was walking home from work when my phone vibrated with a new message. I automatically opened the messenger. The message was from my friend Anya. Sophia, look at this. Isn't this your family? A photo was attached to the message. It showed my parents, my brother and sister. They were sitting in an expensive restaurant with steaks, seafood, and wine on the table. I froze. Anya sent another message. You know what's the strangest thing? This photo was posted by your sister. She even signed it. Best dinner with the best people. We live life to the fullest. My eyes went dark. Yesterday I transferred money to my mom because she said they didn't have enough to pay the bills. Today I transferred money to my brother for food because he complained that he was hungry. But instead, they were sitting in a restaurant, eating expensive food and enjoying life. My heart clenched. I wanted to tell myself that it was just a coincidence, that maybe someone else had treated them, that I had just misunderstood something. But then I opened my sister's page, and I saw more photos. A trip to the resort, shopping in branded stores, my brother posing next to a new car. And then I realized the truth. They were never in trouble. They were just using me. I was sitting in my small apartment, looking at my phone, and rage was building inside me. How long had they been lying to me? I opened my banking app and started looking at my transfer history. Over the past year, I had transferred almost $10,000 to them. To my mom, for utilities and medicines. To my brother, for food and job search. My sister, for unforeseen expenses. But now I knew that none of these expenses were real. I decided to find out the truth to the end. First, I called my brother. Hello, he answered in an indifferent voice. How are you? I asked, trying to sound calm. Yeah, he sighed. It's hard. I still can't find a job. I closed my eyes. He was lying to my face. I already knew he had a job. His social media page had recently been recognized at a corporate event of a large company. He was working. He just didn't want to spend his money. Yeah, I replied. By the way, what kind of car is that in your photo? My brother was silent for a second. It's not mine, he mumbled. Really? Because you had the keys in your hand. Another pause. Listen, Sophia, what kind of interrogation is this? I'm just wondering how you could afford to buy a car if you're sitting there with no money. I heard him inhale sharply. It's none of your business, he said coldly. I have my own sources of income. Then don't ask me for a penny anymore, I replied and hung up the phone. My heart was pounding. I no longer doubted. They were all deceiving me, and I was going to stop it. The next day, the phone vibrated again. This time it was my mom. I already knew it would be a conversation about money. I took a deep breath and pressed accept. Sophia, my daughter, your father and I need help. Her voice sounded soft and calm, as if nothing had happened. Money again. I didn't even try to hide my irritation. You see, there are a lot of expenses this month. We don't have enough for the utilities. I clutched the phone in my hand. Are you sure you're spending money on utilities? I emphasized the word on purpose. Mom stopped for a second. What do you mean? I saw your photos from the restaurant. And from your trip. There was a deathly silence on the other end. And then the voice became sharp, prickly. Are you following us? I laughed at the absurdity of the situation. No, Mom. I'm just looking at the social media you guys are on. She coughed nervously. Sophia, you've got it all wrong. Am I? Because it seems to me that I understood everything correctly. It was just one night. Her voice became gentle and manipulative again. You know that your father and I are not rich. It's really hard for us. Are you having a hard time? Sophia, is it hard for you when I pay your bills while you eat in expensive restaurants? Is it hard for you when I work 12 hours a day while you rest? Mom sighed. You're exaggerating. No, Mom. I finally realized the truth. And then she said what I expected to hear. If you love us, you will help us. I felt anger boiling inside me. This was it. Their main leverage. They never said it directly. Give me money. They always made me offer it myself. To make me feel obliged to do it. But this time I already knew how it worked. I would refuse. I will not go along with them. I will not give them a single penny anymore. And I was ready to say it out loud. I took a deep breath. No, Mom. I'm not giving you any more money. There was silence on the other end of the line. I could feel the tension building. What? Her voice sounded foreign to me. I am no longer going to pay your bills while you live better than me. Sophia, are you crazy? Her voice changed abruptly. We are your parents. We've spent your whole life on you. I clenched my fists. And now you're spending mine. Mom laughed sharply. You're so ungrateful. Aren't you sorry to help your family? To help those who lie to me? We didn't lie to you. You said you had no money. But you do have money. You just don't want to spend it. My mother's voice became cold and distant. Listen to me carefully, Sophia. If you abandon your family, you will have no one else to turn to. I felt my insides go cold. Is this a threat? It's a reality, she said calmly. I took a breath. Okay, if this is reality, then listen to me carefully. I paused. I am no longer your financial cushion. My mom took in a loud breath. If you hang up now, there's no going back. Okay, I said and disconnected the call. I looked at the black screen. They had no power over me anymore. But I knew it wasn't over. They wouldn't stop that easily. After that call, there was complete silence. No messages from my mom. No calls from my brother or sister. Not even a word in the family chat. I thought they understood my position and just accepted it. But I was wrong. A few days later, I came to work and noticed that my colleagues were acting strangely. I opened my computer and saw an email from the management. Sophia, come to our office. We need to discuss some issues. My heart sank. I went to my boss, and he got right down to business. We had received a complaint. A complaint? From whom? The client wrote that you allegedly did not properly prepare the documents, which caused him to suffer financial losses. I stared at him. It's not true. Do you have any proof? This is some kind of mistake. But the manager just sighed. We will investigate, but for now you will have to take a temporary leave of absence. I left the office, feeling everything boiling inside. It was no accident. It was them. They couldn't get me to pay voluntarily, so they decided to hit me where it hurts. My job is my only income. If I lost it, they would be the only ones I could turn to. But I will never do that. I took a deep breath and dialed my mom's number. She answered on the first ring. Oh, now you're calling by yourself? Do you know what you've done? Mom gave a short laugh. Did you think you could just abandon your family and move on with your life? I clenched my fists. You really went this far? You made us do it yourself. Her voice sounded completely calm, as if she had done nothing wrong. We don't need you anymore, Sophia. Now you have to understand what it's like to be on your own. She hung up the phone. I sat in the empty office, clutching the phone in my hands. They thought they had won, but they made their biggest mistake. They made me realize that I owe them nothing. And now I will strike back. I was sitting in my apartment, looking at the black screen of my phone. I was suspended from my job. My reputation was damaged. My family celebrated their victory, but they forgot one important thing. I was no longer their victim. I decided to give them one last chance. I opened a family chat and wrote, I know what you did. This is your last chance to tell the truth and stop. For a few seconds, there was no response. And then the first reaction came. My brother, what are you talking about? Sister, we didn't do anything. Stop being so dramatic. My mom didn't answer. I decided to act tougher. I can prove that you forged a complaint against me at work. I know that this is your job. If one of you doesn't admit it now and stop, next time we'll talk in court. A few more seconds of silence. And then a call from my mom. I answered it. Sophia, what kind of nonsense is this? Her voice sounded sharp, but with a hint of tension. This is not nonsense. This is the last chance. If you don't stop, I will make you all regret it. Mom exhaled. You won't do anything. Okay, I replied calmly. Then you've made your choice. Sophia. I hung up the phone. This was their chance. And they lost it. I got up, picked up the phone, and called my lawyer. I need to file a claim for defamation and fraud. This time I'm going all the way. I sat in the lawyer's office, listening carefully to his words. Are you sure your family is involved in this false complaint? I looked at him with an ironic smile. Should I show you again the photos from their vacation on my dime? The lawyer sighed and put down his pen. Okay. If they really falsified the complaint, we can file a defamation suit and start an investigation. But be prepared. This could escalate the conflict. I crossed my fingers. Let it escalate. I'm not going to keep quiet anymore. But what happened next showed me how far they were willing to go. The next day I got a call from the bank. Ms. Orlovska, we have a suspicious loan application in your name. What? Do you confirm that you applied for $20,000? My mouth is dry. No, I didn't apply for anything. The thing is, the application was almost approved. But we were alerted to the fact that the phone number that was listed in the documents did not match the one in our system. I didn't even have to think about it. They wanted to take out a loan for me. They wanted to leave me with debts. I immediately called my brother. He answered after the third ring. Have you realized everything yet? His voice was cold and indifferent. Is it you? You brought it all to this. He didn't even try to deny it. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? We needed money. And you didn't want to share. I was in shock. You wanted to ruin my life because I stopped being your ATM? He laughed. Sophia, you need to get used to it. In this life, you either use or are used. I couldn't take it anymore. Then listen carefully, I said in a steady voice. You have made your last mistake. What are you going to do? I'm going to sue you. He fell silent. You crossed the line. And now you will answer for it. I hung up the phone. They thought they could break me. But they only made me even angrier. And now they will have to answer for everything they have done. I was not going to let it go. They forged documents. They tried to get a loan in my name. They thought I would just accept it. They made the biggest mistake of their lives. I went straight to the police. The police listened to me carefully. Are you sure that your family is involved in this? I laid out all the evidence in front of them. A fake loan application. A complaint at work, which was accidentally filed after I refused to give them money. Phone records where my brother did not hide his crime. The police officer looked through the documents and nodded. This was enough to start an investigation. I left the police station with a new sense of power, but that was not the end of it. A few days later, I got a call from my lawyer. Sophia, are you ready? For what? We are filing a civil suit against your family for fraud. My heart sank, but I'm not backing down. Yeah, let's do it. I was no longer afraid. I no longer felt guilty. I would no longer let them control my life. My family crossed the line, and now they will pay for everything. The trial has just begun, but the consequences have already been felt. My brother was summoned for questioning by the police. My parents had to urgently look for a lawyer. My sister deleted all her vacation photos and stopped contacting me. They realized that this time I was serious. I was no longer a weak girl who just silently transferred money. I was the one who put them in their place. But what happened next made me realize they really had lost everything. One morning I received a text from a friend in my hometown. Sophia, you won't believe this, but your brother has been trying to borrow money from everyone he knows. He says he's in trouble. I smiled. He never worked because he didn't need to. He always had my money. Now he was left with nothing. The same day I received another message from my parents' neighbor. Your mom seems very nervous. She said that you don't talk to each other anymore. What happened? I didn't answer. I wasn't going to explain their crimes. They had destroyed themselves. Now they had to live without me. And this was the worst sentence for them. A week after I filed my lawsuit, my family stopped attacking me for the first time in all this time. No more threats. No manipulation. No demands to give me another chance. But I knew they were just waiting for the right moment. And the moment came. One morning my phone vibrated again. This time it was my mom. I looked at the screen and for a second wondered if I should answer. But curiosity won out. I pressed accept. Sophia, her voice sounded different than before. Instead of anger and complaints, it was desperation. What do you want? I asked coldly. We want to talk. I didn't answer. You won, okay? Her voice trembled. We didn't know you'd get this far. I felt my heart clench. There it was. They realized they'd lost me. We didn't want it to end like this, she continued, trying to find the right words. You did it yourself. But we're a family. I sighed. You betrayed me, used me. You tried to ruin my life. And now that you're left with nothing, you suddenly want to talk? There was a long pause. Sophia, please. It was the first time she asked me, not demanded. I closed my eyes. If this conversation had taken place a few months ago, I might have been emotional. But now, I couldn't trust them anymore. No, Mom. You made your choice. Now I've made mine. I disconnected the call. I didn't feel sorry. I didn't even feel angry. I just knew they got what they deserved. After my mother's call, I expected them to try to manipulate me again. But this time something new happened. They no longer demanded money. They no longer threatened me. They no longer accused me of destroying the family. Instead, they started playing the victim. I started receiving messages from distant relatives. Sophia, how could you do this to your mom? Your family says you turned your back on them. They are so worried. I never thought you were capable of such cruelty. They spread lies about me. They did not tell me that they were the ones who betrayed me. They didn't say that they tried to steal from me, set me up and ruin my life. They just wanted to make me look like a monster. But I was no longer playing by their rules. One day I heard another familiar phrase. You can return to your family if you apologize. I almost laughed. Apologize? For what? For stopping giving them money? For defending myself? For finally seeing them for who they are? I opened a message from one of my relatives and wrote a short reply. It was a family only when they needed me. Now I don't owe them anything anymore. And I never will again. I pressed send and felt myself finally letting go. I no longer worried about what others would think of me. I was no longer looking for approval from people who didn't deserve me. I would never let them control my life again. I made the final choice. I'm not going back. And now they had to live with it. My decision was final. I cut ties with my family, and no one could force me to return. But now they had to pay for their actions. My brother, who had always lived off me, found himself in real debt for the first time. I found out that he tried to borrow money from everyone he knew, but no one wanted to help. He didn't know how to earn, he only knew how to borrow. His sister, who was used to an expensive life, started selling her things. My parents, who thought they could always put pressure on me, lost their privileges. One of their friends accidentally told me, "Your mom complains that they have to save money. She says you left them in trouble." I just smiled. They were not in trouble. They were just used to someone else paying for everything. They thought that I had broken down and would come back to them as soon as they played the role of victims. But I was no longer the person they knew me to be. For the first time in their lives, they got what they deserved. For the first time, they had to live the life they always said they were living. For the first time, they realized that I was the only one who was saving them. And now I'm not saving them anymore. And they are left alone with their problems. The day I had been waiting for had come. I no longer received calls from my relatives. I no longer saw their messages asking for money. I was no longer their ATM. I was finally free. I could feel regret. I could have regretted losing my family. But the truth was that I never had one. I lived for them, and they lived at my expense. But now I was living for myself. I finally bought myself the things I had been saving for years. For the first time, I really rested without thinking about who else needed help. I realized that I was now in control of my life. And you know what's the most interesting thing? As soon as they realized that I was never coming back, they found a way to live without me. They could always do that. But as long as I was there, as long as I was working for them, they didn't even try. I don't owe anyone anything anymore. And for the first time in my life, I felt real happiness.